Okay, so this will be a 6-week course. Before I go over any basic explanation of each week's topics, I'm going to go over some requirements so that everyone is on the same page and no one will have trouble with each week's homework assignment. Firstly, let's go over deliverables. Each week, I will ask for all of you to submit to me a folder containing your Unreal Engine 4 project containing a scene with your homework in it. Just encapsulate everything, the content folder, save folder, everything that you have created and generated for. So when you create a project, just create a separate folder that you'll save it all off to. And then from there, you can save it off and compress it and then send it off to me for your homework assignment. So we will be using for this class Unreal Engine 4.26.2. For textures, I'll go over them a little bit further when we get to the PBR textures and theory section, but you'll be, for the most part, working with 3 different types of texture maps. A albedo map, and I'll have on the screen how you're supposed to have the naming conventions for. A normal map, and one channel packed texture map using the following. ORM, for the red channel, it will be ambient occlusion. For the green channel, it will be roughness. And for the blue channel, it will be metalness. So every one of these textures will be in the Targa texture formats. This is, in the industry, considered one of the best formats to use when in terms of quality versus size trade-off. If there are any other types of textures for the topics, I'll go over them in the coming weeks and I will tell you exactly what the naming conventions will be. But I will have them listed out and gone over in that week's lecture notes. So for textures, you can always use the Megascans library since they are now under the Epic Games Studio umbrella. They're free for any Unreal Engine user. You'll just need to create an Epic Games account login. If you want to take things a step further, you can always author or create your own textures. But just so you know, I will not be adding any extra credit or extra grading for them. This would mostly just be for the satisfaction of your own skills or your portfolio. Because in the end, this is not a class for texturing, it's more for creating shaders. I will have for each week files that you can download for the assignment, and I will also have links to recommended files based on the lectures inside of the lecture notes. They'll be outlined weekly in our lecture notes forum. Okay, so I'm going to go over what a typical week would look like for the class. So the session for summer 2021 starts on Saturday, July the 10th, and that's when you'll have access to your first week's assignment. And then I'll have every assignment due the following Saturday, which is the start of the next week's session. So if the class starts on July the 10th, the assignment will be due July the 17th at 9 p.m. PDD time, which is my time zone. And then on the upcoming Monday, 2 days later, I'll have the feedback posted on the website so that you can view it by about 4 p.m. PDT. And then later on that day, I'll have the Q&A session for the week at 7 p.m. PDT. So let's go over the 6-week course. In this first week, I will teach you guys the basics of PBR texturing in Unreal Engine, texture packing, an overview of the Unreal Engine material shader system, and an overview of PBR shading and rendering, as well as the theory and author generation for it. In the second week, we will break down master materials, instances, and the overall benefits of using the feature. We will also work on creating parameters and the basics of math in regards to shader systems and art. Finally, we will go over a modular workflow of master materials and how we can organize better the material functions. In the third week, we'll go over complex use of math such as time, sine, and cosine, as well as panner and rotation features. We'll also go over special materials used in games such as transparency and glass, Fresnel, subsurface scattering, clear coat, and velvet and or special cloth materials. In week 4, we will go over landscape materials and how to create their layer system and also how to blend their layers. We'll also go over other complex environment and other features, such as We will also go over other complex materials used in environment and props teams, such as vertex painting, weight painting, and position-based effects and other blending techniques. In the fifth week, we'll go over a complex, expensive shader system known as parallax, tessellation, and decals, whether it's deferred or mesh decals. And in the sixth week, we'll finally go over a foliage shader, and we will go over the current usages inside of Unreal Engine for the features mesh distance fields and virtual textures and how they can be used practically, as well as the pros and cons overall when it comes to performance and usage.